Okay, I would like to introduce you to Darin, Olien, and here, let me put everyone. If you guys could all mute yourself, please. Okay. I am so excited about this call. You're the reason why I signed up to work for Beachbody, to be an independent rep. Seriously, like right here. This is my favorite book, and Shakeology is the whole reason why I signed up. I have to make myself work out. Shakeology is like, I have such a strong belief in Shakeology and in being healthy that I drank Shakeology and I had such a belief in it, and then I ended up selling the workouts. Probably about a year after being a coach, maybe a year and a half when they came out with challenge packs. I've been a coach for 6.5 years, and but it was my belief in Shakeology because I suffered from postpartum depression with 3 kids really bad, and I had suffered from severe anxiety but really bad depression. And Shakeology is what completely, instead of taking meds, because I did tons of research, found out that I was not giving my body any nutrition. And so by the research I did, they said you can either go on pills or you can eat well. So I got off sugar, and I started eating I started drinking Shakeology and eating the way I was supposed to, and completely got rid of my depression about 3 weeks after drinking Shakeology. So, I mean, I'm just really, really thankful for you. You have no idea. So, and yeah, really thankful.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear. And it's the reason why Isabella and I took on very seriously why and what Shakeology was, and giving the body some of the greatest nutrients from some of the greatest botanicals in the world. And that's, wasn't about selling products, is about providing a catalyst for people to get good nutrition so their body can figure it out from there, right? And you're a perfect story of that.
Well, my team is called Extreme Team, and then we have a bunch of teams amongst this team. So I wanted to I'm really, like I said, I'm just really excited that you're taking time out of your evening to do this call for us. And I'm going to put myself on mute, and I will let you talk.
So I'll just go through the questions that I got here. Okay, great.
Yeah, basically, you guys, we just submitted the questions so you could have time to go through them, and so he's going to answer the questions for us.
Yeah, make sure Beachbody's legal doesn't.
Yeah. Yes, they had to put it through the legal department to make sure that you could answer these questions. Yeah. So.
Because if I get asked a question, I'm going to answer it. So.
Okay.
Okay, good. So. Cool. Well, thank you. And thank you for telling me the story, because that never gets old. In fact, that was, again, why we took on the responsibility of doing what it is that we're doing. And Isabella and I was just talking today, and that mission hasn't changed for us. We really, at the depths of our core and our being, we live this. We're getting some feedback there. We live this, and we've dedicated our lives to this health and nutrition journey. So Shakeology is a catalyst for filling in those gaps of what we need. So anyway, I'll start on the first question that you guys have. Talk about organic cane sugar and the health benefits and why they added it. So first off, with Shakeology, it's a moving kind of organism because we're always improving on it. We're always testing and auditing facilities and being a stickler for quality. Some of the processors, some of the guys in the industry that represent certain ingredients also don't like that, because they keep selling their inferior kind of processes. So we were started off good in our relationship with agave, and it got to a point where we were no longer okay with the supplier that we had and the standard that they were willing to have, and so we had to move sideways and change one of the aspects of the sweetening system. Now, keep in mind that organic cane sugar is only one spoke within the wheel of the sweetening system. You have to use many different sweeteners in order to cover up this astringent, strong botanical flavor. So we were very careful in using organic cane. And listen, don't be thrown off by the word sugar, because organic cane is largely cane juice that's pressed into that kind of rich molasses looking liquid full of vitamins and minerals, and it's squeezed and evaporated and crystallized. That's organic cane sugar. It's not this stripped white sugar that we all have deemed evil in the industry. So, and that being said, we were able to optimize. I can't tell you exactly how much organic cane sugar, but if you can look in the bag, you know that there's very little sugar in the contributive factors of all the fruit sugar or all the fruit botanicals in there and the superfruits. So largely what we did when we put that in there is we optimized even better and improved upon the glycemic index of the overall flavor. So that was the feat of extensive work when the research and development team to create a system where we had to get rid of agave, but we used the opportunity to actually improve the overall functioning of the formula. And that's something you guys really need to understand. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, and you guys, I get it, because I would be asking the same question. Hey, what's the deal with organic cane sugar? Well, obviously you're getting a lot of vitamins and minerals with organic cane in a very wonderful, easy processing type of, when I say easy processing, in terms of you're not stripping it, you're not beating it up. It's fairly simple. It's organic cane, it's squeezed, it's dried, it's got all its constituents. So with that, we always look to improve upon the formula when we have to make a hard choice of changing one aspect of it. And that sweetening system is very tricky so that you guys have an enjoyable experience with low glycemic load and no chemicals, and so that formula is actually delicious and tasting good. That feat is very challenging. I think it took me a year just working on the flavor of the formula back in 2006 and doing it in a healthy way. So I am actually more encouraged by the formula having gone to organic cane, because it made the overall formula that much better and even a lesser glycemic load than we've ever had. So that's an exciting thing. Okay, so moving on to number 2, is the protein extracted using heat process? No, it's not. Shakeology, obviously, we use a whey protein isolate, and it is not heat. It's not using heat, nor is it using what's the common practice is using this kind of ion exchange process. that through the heat and that ion exchange can damage the proteins. And that's usually when people come at whey protein, they usually come at it from that perspective, that the weight has been denatured. But this in particular has been purified through a very gentle, cold filtration process that's specifically designed to make sure that that protein integrity is super high and the most bioavailable. And then, of course, that is not typically what is in the market, and this is the highest commercially known whey protein. I think there was another question, because I can just where is it? Let me see. Oh yeah, the next question was, I know we can't guarantee, there's a multi-question. I know we can't guarantee organic, but what sort of feed? So they're asking about grass-fed and non-GMO and all of those things. So this is something we've explored extensively. We've explored many sources of grass-fed whey. I will say this without getting myself in trouble, that not everything you think grass-fed that's touted to be is what it is. There's some issues within the processing of it, and there's certainly issues in the marketing of it. And sometimes that doesn't quite line up. We've done a lot of work, years of work into this area. The one thing is, in all of our ingredients, we don't allow to receive any GMO ingredients anyway, because we have our systems in place. But the major thing is that we're choosing the highest whey protein in the industry through the best filtration system, processing, and we continuously look into bettering the process and bettering all of our ingredients. The one thing I will say with the whey protein is that even if we were happy with all aspects of the grass-fed organic whey, that it isn't even a fraction of what the global supply is that we could use in Shakeology, because we are with Shakeology, we're one of the leaders in many of these ingredients in terms of what the volumes in which we are using, and also the standard to which we set for suppliers to even be considered by us. And largely we fail more suppliers than we receive and use. And the ones that we really need, we'll spend time, sometimes years, to be able to get those suppliers up to speed. So that's just some of that thing. And I would say this, obviously coming from a vegan, if anyone has an issue with whey at all, even if you're slightly lactose intolerant, then just switch to the vegans. The vegans are an incredible formula and certainly match the diversification of amino acids and bioavailability. So that's an easy point. So if someone's stuck on that, just switch them over into the incredible vegan formula. Okay. So then number 3 I got here, it's no, that's, I already answered that. Number 4, what is my tips for food not Shakeology? Interesting question. Well, greens, man. The greens is what started in the photosynthetic adaptation, creating vitamins and minerals, and some of our first plant foods on the planet were phytoplankton and green. So greens are really essential aspects to us. So leafy greens, kales, spinach, red leaf, romaine, all of that stuff. And also why we have a greens boost, obviously. Get a concentration of greens, throw it in your Shakeology. So, food tips outside of that: eat your greens, eat a salad every day, make it huge. So it's not some little side salad, make it your meal. I eat a salad every day. I don't feel right if I don't. And I'm talking like a Flintstone size. And I would also say increase more of the fungi world, mushrooms, cook the mushrooms, bring those into your life. There's some incredible healing and disease prevention just by eating on a daily basis mushrooms. And of course, one thing that's true through the centurions around the planet, the blue zones, the people that live the longest with the highest functionality as a people, and blue zones around the world, everyone ate beans. So get your legumes and eat your beans on a daily basis, and of course nuts and seeds. Find and make sure to educate yourself on how to prepare nuts and seeds, because if you're eating poorly prepared nuts and seeds, you can cause some digestive problems because of their natural anti-nutrients that they have in there to save their own existence. So make sure you're soaking and germinating and sprouting. And also I would say another point is easy way is get some broccoli seeds, and you either can grind them up or sprout them in a jar. It takes a few days, it takes a second to do it, and you get a whole sprouted jar, and they have more nutrients per calorie than the full broccoli itself. There's a compound called sulforaphane that kicks on huge amounts of active life-spanning DNA. So that's another one that I would add in. Again, it's a green. Okay, so what are your top foods to stay away from? My top foods that I stay away from, not telling you to, but I stay away from all meat. I did an experiment over a decade ago, and for me, the nutritional feedback plus my own action of taking it out of my diet, it proved to me I don't need it. I'm kind of like eliminate the middleman, because meat is essentially a bioaccumulation of an animal ultimately eating plants. So I just like to go to the plants. That's me. Dairy and cheeses, as much as I know I get a lot of blowback on that, it's got high amounts of certain types of protein that can cause and turn on cancer markers. So those things I definitely don't like. I will move towards, fermented yogurts and coconut yogurts to get that tangy, cheesy kind of feeling. And I also will go to nutritional yeast, which has a huge amount of B vitamins, but you absolutely can get that cheesy kind of flavor if you get a little creative. And stay away from all processed vegetable oils and saturated fats. I mean, I would just say that that's common sense. A little bit in the marketplace, people are trying to tell, coming out in the literature, and not so much the literature, but marketing, that vegetable oils are good and saturated fat is good, but the evidence just says the opposite. So don't fall victim to all that stuff. Okay, so number 6, do I take any daily supplements? Well, I certainly take, I view it as food first. I eat a ton of plants. I eat a lot of superfoods. Obviously, my Shakeology, and boost the hell out of it. I also will make tinctures and tonics. I use the Focused Energy because it's got some of the greatest adaptogens in there too. People get thinking it's just a caffeine thing, but we formulated that with rhodiola and the forms of ginseng and cordyceps and these things that are incredible to include adaptogens basically. And there's tons of adaptogens in Shakeology, which is why we put it in there. and largely help to corral and help your body deal with all the damn stress that we're getting. So I include a lot of those types of things, a lot of mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, tonics, tinctures, these kinds of things. So that's my view. And then I will do B12. I use like fermented types of B12 and vitamin D. We all here in the United States really need to look at our levels of vitamin D and make sure that we're getting enough vitamin D. The evidence is absolutely clear, especially in the winter time. Your mood, your immune system, on and on, vitamin D is connected to optimal health. So that's something that I definitely take. But for the most part, food first, a bunch of superfoods, and then for me, I get functionally tested, so I know exactly what I'm lacking. Okay, so any evidence for us in Michigan? Nice. I'm a Minnesota guy, so I get it. So any advice for us here in Michigan having the cold, dark weather for the next 6 months? Well, I go back to vitamin D is a must. I'm not prescribing anything to you guys, so you need to check it out yourself and ask your functional doctor and all of that stuff. But the evidence is really clear that vitamin D during these times will really help that seasonal depression kind of thing that hits all of us. I would also increase the amount of turmeric, because the curcumin and the turmerones in turmeric turn on what's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factors. So that helps the brain regenerate, respond, and not fall into that kind of depressive state. And then I use these moments because obviously 20 years I lived in Minnesota. I would actually exercise more in the winter. I would do runs in extreme cold. I would figure out ways of kind of creating, different things to do in the winter. Of course, just going to the gym and doing that stuff or doing all the Beachbody on demand stuff is perfect. But for me, in the winter, I kind of use it as an opportunity to work on different aspects of my body. And that could be flexibility. It could be repairing nagging injuries, postural stuff. It could be, hey, I just want to get functionally stronger so that when summer comes, I can maybe run up this mountain faster, or whatever your goals are. But maybe set a goal. And something that is also works is maybe do a carpool kind of thing, but a house pool. So if you have neighbors and you have friends that work out, have them come over to the house and work out together in the thing. That kind of helps the social bonding during the cold, dark winters. Make sure you're connecting with people outside of your family on a day-to-day basis. That's what I would say, and that's a very powerful thing. And if you do it, you will be nodding and knowing that was a good thing. All right, so the other one here is, what's the biggest mistake I see when people are starting to eat healthy? I think that people make it too big of a deal, and they amp themselves up, and they already go into the future and kind of fail before they even start. I think people, when they get excited and they have that moment where they want to change, they jump into it. They maybe work out too hard to begin with, and they get too sore, or they eat a bunch of weird foods that they haven't been used to, so you get gas and bloating and don't feel comfortable. Well, keep in mind that your ecosystem, your inner ecosystem that you have been cultivating by what you're putting in your mouth, your microbiome, your microbes in there have adapted to what you're doing. So if you all of a sudden stop something and start kind of eating everything or eating different things, that there's going to be a period of time where you feel a little strange, and that can be demoralizing if you're not aware of that, because then you'll just go back to your kind of safety, which is why, you know, the ultimate reset is a really great way of some balanced food that we took a lot of time to put together in a safe way so that people weren't jarred too much, in allowing the body to transition into and out of some bad habits and into some better ones. So that's what I would say about that. But you know, I think probably the biggest thing, this is the biggest thing of the mistakes I see people make with starting to eat healthy, is their mindset. It's your point of view. If you're not super clear with your motivation and your reason for doing it, then largely you will fail at the strength of that intention. I get, like, you know, weight is the first initial thing that gets people to do it, but the weight will come off. It will start to come off. You have to have a why that's greater, much, much greater than just weight. You have to have something deep inside your heart that, I would say this, because I'm gonna kind of end with this. And that is, I'm going to give you a glimpse into, because I think it's important for all of you to know, because Isabel and I were just talking about it, because she does it and I do it. And that is telling you who we are and why these things were actually created. See, she has a story and I have a story. And my story is, the short version is, I was born with a 50-50 chance of surviving. I was very small. And my first initiation into this world was hectic, crazy, vulnerable, and I might not survive. That was my programming. So I lived with that programming. I'm weak, something's wrong with me, and that got validated through my early adult life, when I realized that food shifted how I felt, and a weight, a dumbbell, and working out shifted the mold and more of the ability to adapt and change and get strong. The reason that we created Shakeology, one of the reasons, a big reason, is that, and the ultimate reset, and why I'm even here today talking to you, is because we know in our soul that if you apply these things, if you expose your body to some of the greatest foods in the world, if you say good thoughts to yourself, and take care of yourself, that over time your body won't be brought down so that you can't even come close to living the kind of life that you are actually here to live. Our focus, just because we've been focused between the two of us 40 years of nutritional study, just because we are talking about nutrition doesn't mean that our end why is about educating you guys on nutrition or getting you Shakeology. The reason is that we want to provide you with these great nutritional aids to fill the gap so that your body can thrive, so that it doesn't suffer, so that you can live the kind of life and dream and have that dream and not be yanked down by a body that's not functioning well. Because we all know when you get sick, you're not doing anything. So imagine over time, if you're just not quite strong or you're just not feeling well, you've just capped your dreaming and you've capped your ability to achieve it. That is really the essence of why I'm here, why I formulated this thing, and a version of that is why Isabel did. So it's not to be caught down in all of these things, but it's to understand what the essence of Shakeology is, to not drink it every day because the marketing says you should, but to understand it and do it because if you have 60 plus ingredients that are some of the greatest botanicals in the world, and if the phrase is an apple a day keeps a doctor away, if an apple keeps a doctor away, what do you think that these great botanicals from around this globe are going to do if you consume them on a daily basis? So that's our point of view about consuming these great botanicals and superfoods. So I hope that makes sense. But I'm going to give you homework, actually. You ready? The homework is, I'm going to zero in on, let's say, the category of adaptogens. So you can grab Schizandra, ashwagandha, astragalus, cordyceps, reishi, maca, any one of those. Grab one, Google it, look it up, start reading what that botanical is, how long it's been used, by whom it's been used by, and why. And you will start to get a glimpse. You don't have to be a nutritionist, but you have start to get a glimpse as to the array of these incredible botanicals that are in that shake, that are there, that are tested, that are the active compounds that are tested, that are there, that we do a lot of work in order for them to be an active part of the formula, because most people in the industry do not do this level of testing, and you never know what you get. So do some homework, just look up, take 10 minutes and read, just grab one of those adaptogens and read about it. Do your research, look at it, and you will be like, wow. Don't take my word for it. Take what I'm saying, use the inspiration if you have it, and look up some of this stuff, and you will start to see this amazing gathering of botanicals that we happen to call Shakeology, that have come from parts of the globe and come from mountaintops and come from deep in the Amazon to show up conveniently on your doorstep. It might start giving you a really cool gratitude for the amount of work that it takes for this team at Beachbody to make sure that Shakeology is kicking ass for you. So I think I'll end on that. Is there any last questions or comments that are short?
I have a quick question. I don't know if you can answer it, just if you're not allowed to, that's fine. But for the vitamin D, do you take anything with it like K or C, or they say the vitamin D doesn't work unless you take it with something else. So I guess I've always wanted to know that.
Yeah, K2 and vitamin D, D3 are great, and that's something that is super important for sure. And also, if you find yourself with the exposed UVB of mushrooms actually hold the natural forms of vitamin D3. So you can also get mushrooms these days with that. On the original formula, on the whey formula, we've actually increased our better forms of vitamin D and vitamin K. So that's an improvement in the formula as of a year ago or so. So
what do you recommend? Like 10,000 milligrams of what? I mean, what do you do?
yeah, I can't recommend
Okay.
yeah to anybody, but let's just say that you know, I mean, anywhere from 4 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D is totally appropriate.
Okay.
If you really want, get them tested, and it's a couple $100, get some blood work done, and get your levels tested, and then you can optimize exactly what you need. And all of this stuff is worth it, I think, to know your body, to know what your needs are, and especially during the times where vitamin D is very, very low.
Yeah, most of us on this call live in the Midwest. So, I thought that would be important. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I'd like to just ask one more. This is Karen here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you for confirming that it wasn't heat treated the way that it's actually cold pressed. That does make a lot of difference to some of the people I talked to. And then I was also the one that asked about that the cows were fed. I wasn't so hung up on the grass-fed part because I know what you're saying on that and how that's hard to confirm. I was more interested in being able to confirm to people that the cows weren't eating corn, since so much corn is GMO and you can hardly eliminate GMO corn from a diet. That's all I was asking.
Yeah, I get it. Like I said, because of the complexity of that answer, and anything that the challenge with quality assurance is that, and the reason why I was bringing up grass-fed is the challenge with it is that the people typically asking the questions think that their whey protein isn't also subject to those types of situations, and that's where it gets tricky. So even on those grass-fed things, it doesn't show up in as consistently as it should. In terms of ours, we do everything we can in our quality assurance to make sure that doesn't happen, and we definitely reject all of the GMO ingredients. So that's probably to the degree at which I legally can talk to the complexity of that answer, but it's something that we're it's a monthly investigation on our part, to making sure that whey protein that we're using is above the board that we're seeing in the industry.
Excellent. So it would be fair to answer somebody that everything that is possible that can be done to reject GMO ingredients is done, and that would be.
We don't accept any GMO ingredients in our formula, period.
Thank you. That's a great thing for me to be able to say to people. Thanks very much.
Okay, I guess we have just one more really quick. You could just let us know if you can't answer it, because I don't want you to.
What is it? What's the question?
My question, I don't know. Hydroxy vitamin D test done, and it came out to where my value was 31.4 ng, and it said the range was 30 to 100. What should I be looking at for vitamin D? Because I live in Wisconsin. It's already dark out for me. Then I'm feeling tired at night, and my mood is not the best.
Well, that's a big question, but I would say 99.9% of the people in your area and above the longitudinal line of LA are all vitamin D deficient. So you're on the low end So chances are you need to look into supplementation of D3.
What would you recommend as far as that kind of goes, just so I can make sure I'm getting a quality product in my system that's benefiting me?
Yeah, it's a little tricky for me to recommend because I don't have enough. I mean, I can take some for myself.
Right.
But in terms of a public forum like this, I would be on the hook for the quality assurance of a company that I don't have. I haven't vetted, you know.
Okay, what would I want to look for or stay away from, if you, or just so I can be educated?
Well, I would definitely find a formula that's vitamin K and D3 together. If they have done that sophisticated work, then chances are that they understand the optimization and utilization of D3. So you probably have a good chance that that's in good quality. For me, I also use liquid vitamin D3. So that's where I go to increase my levels. I go to a liquid.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, Midwesterners, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is wonderful. Oh, just did you have anything to say really quick?
Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Beachbody is it's a hell of a platform. And, you know, the reason I'm here, I'm not an employee of Beachbody. And I would have left if Beachbody wasn't doing the correct things over the, how many years now? 11 years I've been working with them. So, you know, as a Midwestern person talking to another Midwestern person, you know, I come from, you know, I had a father. My father was an agricultural professor at the University of Minnesota. And so that's in my DNA. That's why I travel. That's why I superfood hunt. That's why I need to see it and to understand it. And so you have a company that's supporting that ecosystem of that way of doing business and coming from the top down, that if, you know, I was laughing with Isabel today, and we were reminiscing about certain things, and I asked her, like, hey, how was the UK launch from your perspective? And she said it was funny because Carl was up, and people were a little more reserved than they here in the States, and they want to make sure that Beachbody wasn't some quick fix, kind of come in, come out, take their money and leave them with nothing good, right? And he used the example. He goes, "If you haven't met my wife, but if I'm not truthful, my wife is going to leave me." And the reality is that is actually true. Like that kind of thing would actually happen. If Carl just all of a sudden decided to be an immoral business guy, and did things that weren't above board for the formula and for the company, then he would have much bigger issues to deal with. And so anyway, that's who we are, and that's why I'm still here, because of the people that are keeping Shakeology in existence in a good way. So, you know, it's important. That's why I like to show up to these things, because it's having a face of someone that's been there from the beginning is important for all of us. And now you can take that and say, listen, we just talked to the guy, and here's the deal. So that's important, and you don't find that in other businesses, obviously. And if I was on your end, I would think that would be important to me. So anyway. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now this recording is going to go all over the place, so that's a good thing. Yeah, I mean, this is something we can all tell our customers that we got to completely talk to, and we can show this video. And really appreciate you. Thank you for everything.
Awesome. You're so welcome.
You guys have a wonderful evening.
Everyone. Ciao.